Hey guys, it's Lola here and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your very first time. I just wanted to say thank you first and foremost for everybody who watched my last video. I had about a year out of YouTube and I came back with a video about how I bought my flat, the financials and the process around that, and there's been really good engagement. Lots of people have liked, commented, shared it and subscribed, which I really appreciate. There's been a number of follow-up questions which I've just been answering in the comment section of the video or on Instagram for those people who have DM'd me there. Two kind of key follow-up videos came out of it. One was around shared ownership. People asked me if I had considered it as part of the kind of government's help to buy schemes for first-time buyers, and the second was around how I saved the money. So I spoke about saving £60,000 towards this flat, and everyone's like, well, how did you do that? What hints and tips do you have? So I did a poll about which one I should do first, and money saving came out first, which is, as you probably guessed from the title of this video, what this video is going to be about. So I will be doing the shared ownership video, but just at a later date. And for now, we're going to be speaking about money, saving money, how to do it, hints and tips, apps, I don't know, websites, Excel spreadsheets, all the stuff that you kind of want to know or that I did personally. And I will put a disclaimer on this because obviously I'm not a financial advisor. I work in HR now. And this is just kind of my personal experience, sharing things that were helpful to me and hoping that they'll be helpful to other people. So if you are interested in hearing that, please do stick around and we'll be going through it shortly. So let's get into it. I've got my phone here because I've made some notes about all the things I did when I was saving, because I wanted to make sure it was thorough and go through kind of the more practical aspects of things you need to think about and kind of the things you need to do. So the first thing I've got on my list, which is not a practical saving thing, but it's about setting a goal. It's so important. You can just think, okay, let's start saving, I'll put some money away, but it's important to know what you're working towards and why you're working towards it. So if you're saying, look, I want to save £30,000, and the reason I want to do that is because I want a deposit for a flat, right? You need to know that at the outset, and you need to, for me, write it down because it just makes it more real. But you need to know exactly why you're doing that, because that will help to keep you on the right track. So when you're going to buy something that you don't need to buy, you can think, actually, weigh up. Do I want this pair of shoes more than I want to keep going towards my goal of saving for this flat, right? Or wedding or car or whatever you're saving for, it's the same thing, right? So the first thing you need to do is set a goal, a firm goal, a monetary goal. To say, this is the amount of money that I want to save, and this is why I want to save it. It's so important. I would also then break that down into milestones that you can celebrate. So if you say, look, I want to get £30,000, but actually that's so far away, you're going to break it down into, okay, first of all, I'm going to have my milestones at £1,000. When I get to £1,000, I'll celebrate it. £5,000, £10,000, 15 or £20,000, and then ultimately £30,000. Because sometimes we're working to a goal that's so far away, it can be a bit demotivating. So it's important to celebrate the milestones. So that's the first thing. Set a target, big targets and milestones that you're working towards. Okay, so the second thing I have on my list is understanding your spending. That is so important because when you're trying to come up with, okay, what you can reasonably save, when you're trying to come up with your budget, all of that kind of stuff, you need to understand what you're spending your money on. So many people do not know what they spend their money on. Like, I've been there, everyone's been there. When you're like, you get towards like, it's like the third week of the month, you're not going to get paid for another week, and you're like, where is all my money? Like, you feel like, okay, I haven't acquired anything substantial over the last month, but I feel like I have no money. Like, what did I actually spend it on? And that's a very real thing. Like, spending little by little, and at the end of the month, you have no idea where your money went. Or when you get your P60 at the end of the year and it tells you that you made X amount of money, and you're like, but where is that money? And you start feeling like, but surely I didn't have that money because where is it now? Like, that's a real thing, and it's because we don't understand what we're spending our money on. So, how do you understand your spending? For me, there was a number of things that I did. I started looking at our bank statements. You can get your bank statements online, but lots of banks also allow you to export that, export your bank statements into Excel, which is amazing because then you can actually categorize your spending. You can filter by KFC, you can filter by Deliveroo, you can filter by Topshop, you can categorize into clothes, food, travel, saving. Like, you can know exactly what you've done with your money. And when you look at it, that's when you start, that's when you feel the fire in your chest, because you're like, did I really spend that much money at this place? Or is Pret really taking £100 from me a month? And that's when you start thinking, like, that's ridiculous. Like, I would have rather, like, you start to see that you maybe didn't get as much value from your money as you could have. You start to say, actually, was those 4 Nando's worth it? Like, did I really enjoy it that much? Like, would I not have just rather had rice and stew at home? Like, actually, what would I rather have? Would I rather skip those 4 meals out and had an extra, I don't know, £150 in my account? Or actually, is that something that I value that so that it was worth it? So that's what I mean about understanding your spending. The second thing I did to understand my spending was get a Monzo card. And for me, Monzo is just the best. There are a couple of other kind of similar solutions, but Monzo is basically a bank, and you get a card, a nice orange one, and when you spend money, you get a notification. Whenever you touch your card, if you send money, someone sends you money, you get a notification, and it tells you how much you spent on that transaction and how much you spent this day. And so you'll tap in and say, oh, okay, you spent £3 in Pret, today you spent £12. And you're like, but all I've done is buy coffee and lunch. And you're like, why is it £12? And you start to think, oh my God, £12 a day, that's £60 a month. And all of this other kind of stuff. You can also download your statements similarly, and also it categorizes your spending by itself, because it knows that, for instance, Pret is food, or it knows that TFL is travel. And if you use it for work, you can tag some things as expenses. So if you have some stuff that you're using for expenses and it's not actually your spending, you can filter that out. So Monzo for me is really great. I'm actually going to put, like, if you refer a friend to Monzo, you can have like £5 and they get £5. So I'll put my Monzo referral link in the description box. But for me, it's been like an absolute lifesaver. It makes you more accountable as well. When you touch the card and you know that you're going to be confronted with the notification, sometimes you just feel like, oh, just it's fine, I don't want it. And like, you can have friends on Monzo, you can transfer money without needing like account details if your friends have Monzo. And I feel like I'm now doing an advert for Monzo, so I'll cut it there. But understand your spending is super important. It's important for the next thing that I'm going to say. And the next thing I'm going to say is about budgeting, setting a budget. Probably one of the most important things when it comes to saving, because a budget is the thing that allows you to make sure that you have allocated your money in the correct way in order to have a certain amount that you are able to save. There's no point in having these big savings targets if you have spent all your money before there's anything to save. And for me, when we're talking about a budget, it should be a stretch target. It shouldn't be, okay, I like to spend £200 a month on shoes. I like to spend £200 a month eating out. I need to spend this much money on getting to work, and therefore I have this left over to save. That's not how a budget should be. For me, when you're setting your budget, you need to say, okay, this is how much my income is, right? The guaranteed income, the income that I know is coming every month. And for most of us, that's fixed, right? You have a salary. You might have a bonus or something like that coming later, and you may make commission. But anything that's varied, I wouldn't even put that in the budget, because it's not guaranteed. So you need to be able to live on the income that you know is coming in every month. So that is your total budget, right? And from that point, you need to say, okay, what are the necessities? What do I need to spend money on? So for instance, if you're renting, that'll be rent. There's no way that you can't pay that. You have to pay rent. So that comes out of your budget first. Then you have to get to work. So you have to pay your travel. So that is non-negotiable. You have to pay your bills. All of those things get taken out of your budget first. And what that leaves you with is your disposable income. That's the income that you have to play with, to save with, to do everything else that you need to do. And that disposable income should first start with, this is what I want to save. Yeah, this is my target of saving. I want to save £500 every month. And so you put that money aside, and then you have this other amount left over. And that other amount, right, that's all you have. That's what you're telling yourself. You're saying, I don't have any more money than this. And therefore, how do I allocate this money in order to do everything that I need to do? And remember, all of your necessities are looked after. So this is all just nice to haves at this point. And then comes in prioritization when you're setting your budget. For me, I know that I want to travel. I'm not the kind of person, like, I've seen some of these things online, which is like, put your money in cash envelopes. And I know it works for people, or, eat Indomie every day and blah, blah, blah. And that works for some people. But my personal approach is, I need to enjoy my life. Like, especially when you're in your kind of 20s and your 30s, like, it's important, like, at the point before you have those responsibilities sometimes. So it's like, I'm not going to I'm not going to deprive myself of experiences because that's what's important to me. So I know that when I'm setting my budget, a certain amount in there is going to be allocated towards travel. And maybe that means that I'm not going to get to go to every festival this summer. And maybe it means that I'm not going to get to buy clothes as often as I would like. But that is my priority. And so prioritization is so important when you're doing your budget. So you have your amount of income left over after the amount that you've ring fenced for saving, and then you divvy that up as you want to. So if it means that usually you go out for dinner with your friends once a week and actually you can only afford to go once every 2 weeks, then you put that in your budget. And when people, I'll come back to this, but when people come to ask you, oh, can you go to dinner every once a week, and you tell them, look, mate, I don't have the coin, I don't have it, or I can't, but what we can do is you come over to mine, or we go have a picnic, or we do something cheap and cheerful, or we go to a cheaper restaurant so that I can go once a week or something like that, then that's what you do. But your budget is so important, and it's important that you stick to it, because your budget is an agreement that you're making with yourself. You're saying, look, I want to give you this opportunity in the future. I want to make sure that you have the money that you need to do this thing. And so therefore, I promise you that I will keep my spending within these parameters. And so when you don't stick to your budget, the only person you're hurting is yourself. And so that's why kind of setting a budget is super important, and it has to be that way around. It has to be starting from income, then taking off all your necessary expenses, your mandatory have to pay these or you go to jail or end up homeless or can't get to work expenses. And then you have your disposable income. You take your savings amount away from it, and then you play with the rest as you can. And that for me is how you do a budget. When it comes to budgeting, I do my budget in Excel. So I have a physical budget. Writing a budget, having a budget in your head is a complete waste of time, right? Because you need to be able to stick to it. You need to be able to go back to it. You need to be able to make sure that it's as clear in your head as it would be on paper. And most of the time, most people cannot do that. I cannot do that. Some people, maybe if you have some sort of eidetic memory, you can. But most people, it will be clearer if you put it in an Excel spreadsheet. And then you can check back against it. You can say, look, I was actually under budget this month, so maybe should I put a little bit extra in my savings? Should I roll that amount over to the next month so that next month I can do more in terms of, social activities and stuff like that? And yeah, you can make those in Excel. Probably at some point, I was talking to my friend about it. I will make one or share the one that I use, and I'll stick it somewhere for you guys to download. Haven't done that yet. But it's important. You can build them yourselves. Like if you have kind of any knowledge of Excel, you can learn on YouTube. And there's definitely like ready-made budgeting templates that you can download. And that also allows you to forecast. So you can see where you will be at the end of the month. If you save your £500 a month, or your £600, or your £250, or whatever you're spending every month, you'll be able to see, okay, at the end of the year, this is how much money I will have. And each month, as your savings go up, it's really encouraging. It's like anything. It's like going to the gym, or to lose weight, or to gain muscle. Like every time you lose 2 pounds, you're like, oh my God, this is working. Every time someone compliments you, like, is that you, bro? Like, oh, you've been in the gym. You're like, oh, it gets exciting. And when you see your money growing, it is encouraging within itself, so that probably 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the line, it's not such a struggle. It's just a habit. So discipline in budgeting is super important. Discipline in life is important, but definitely when it comes to budgeting. So the next thing I have on my list is really basic. It says, don't buy things that you don't need. Don't buy things that you don't need. Don't buy things that you don't need. It is so basic, but we always forget it. We're always buying crap that we don't need. Just stuff that we may not even wear. Like, we've all been there where we're like, I bought this and I didn't even wear it. Or I wore it and I wasn't even that, I didn't need it. I just didn't need it. I bought it, or I went to this place and I got this thing that maybe I'll need, maybe I don't. I bought some new eyebrow thing that I haven't used and it's been sat in my wardrobe for like 6 months now, or just whatever it is. Like, don't buy things that you don't need. If you've said to yourself, like you said at the beginning, I'm trying to save this amount of money, and this is the reason why, this is the thing that I want to give myself. Like, do you really want to take from yourself to give yourself this frivolous thing that you don't even really need, to buy yourself another pair of Joni jeans when you already have 3 in slightly different shades of blue? Like, I don't know. Like, those are the questions that you need to be asking yourself. And you have to serve yourself some home truth sometimes, because if you're like, oh, you really want to save, and you're asking yourself why you have no money, but you've been to the ENDS Festival, you went to Wireless, you were at SW4, you flew yourself to Portugal to go to Afro Nation, you were in Amsterdam, you were in Croatia for all these festivals this summer. Like, I'm sure if you add that up, that's a substantial amount of money. So you think, okay, is this the thing that I want to prioritize actually, or could I Do I need to go to all these festivals? Could I go to maybe Afro Nation because that's a really big experience and that'll be really important, and maybe the Ends Festival because I want to go somewhere close to home and see these type of acts. Like, do I need to go to all six or can I just go to two? And those are the things like it comes to clothes, it's experiences. Like, okay, for me, for instance, I'll be like, okay, do I need to go on two big holidays this year? I went to in March and April. I went to Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and I did a stopover in China as part of a bigger trip. I wanted to go away in October. Yeah. I was like, oh, I want to go away. I want to do another big one. I've never been to South America. I want to go to South America. I also want to go to Kenya, explore more of Africa. And I also want to go to Nigeria at Christmas. I can probably afford to do all of those things. It would leave me in a detrimental saving position. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go to this holiday at the beginning of the year that I went to Southeast Asia. And I'm probably going to go to Nigeria at Christmas. And so that's my lot. I don't need to go to South America now. I can go to Kenya next year. I can do those things later. And I said I'd come back to it, but friends are really important because most of the time we're doing these social things, we're doing them with friends. You need to tell your friends what you're doing. Tell your friends, say, look, I have a goal that I'm trying to achieve, and it means that I'm probably going to have less disposable income than I've had before because I need to put a certain amount in my savings so that I can get married, I can buy my house, I can buy this car, I can do my masters or whatever you're saving for. If you have good friends, they will be on board. They will support you in doing it. I'm sorry, but if your friends are like, oh, don't be like that, they're trash. Your friends are trash. Like, they're trash. If they're upset that you can't go on every excursion with them, or they're not willing to adjust what they're doing to suit your budget sometimes, then your friends are trash. Like, good friends support you. I know, like, I can tell my friends, oh, I don't have the coin. Do you want to go see this show? And this show, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can probably see one of those two. I probably can't see both. They're not in my budget. Or you can be like, oh, I can go to that next month, but I won't be able to go to it this month. Like, how is it? Like, how can we adjust the timetable? Is it okay if we see it in October instead of seeing it in September so that I have the coin for it? Like, or can we book it later? Or just stuff like that so that you're not going out of your budget. And like, sensible friends will be there for you. They'll be like, do you know what? Like, yeah, completely fine. Yeah, of course, let's see what we can do. Friends that want you to spend your money on trash are trash. Sorry, that's the reality of it. And actually, a really good thing to do, like, if you're saving and if you're at the same stage of life, most of your friends should be trying to do the same thing. So if you can go on this journey together, it makes it so simple for you. Like this summer, actually, there was a couple of times I was like, especially after I just bought my flat, I'm like, look, I'm actually broke. Like, you guys can come over here, we can have lunch. Like, that's all, like, good. If you're cool with that, everybody brings something, we eat, or we go to the park and have a picnic, or we're doing like 2 for 1 at Pizza Express, or we go and do like something cheap and cheerful at Las Iguanas or something like that. But like, I don't always have the money for it. And my friends understand that. And I love my friends. Like, to be honest, I've got great friends. Shout out my friends. But they've always been really supportive of everything that I've done. And I think that's what good friends are like. So if your friends are not supporting you in doing that, you need to be asking some people some questions, mainly yourself. But yeah, prioritizing, not buying things that you don't need. I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, even though I've spent a lot of time explaining it. The next thing I have on my list, it says automate the process. And what I mean by that is using the kind of tools that you have available to you to make it easier so that some things happen automatically. And the biggest thing that everybody should be doing is on the day that you get paid, your bank should know to automatically transfer whichever amount of money you have set in your budget to come out of your account to go to your savings account. That could be an ISA, it could be a Help to Buy ISA, a Lifetime ISA, it could just be another savings account. Ideally, it's something that you don't have easy access to because you don't want to get like halfway through the month and have overspent on your budget and think it's okay to dip into your savings. Obviously, the only person you're cheating is yourself, but the less access you have to that money, the better. But the point is, it needs to happen automatically. It's much easier not to spend money when you don't see it in the first place. When you see, that you have X amount of money and then you have to transfer half of that into your savings account or a quarter of that, it feels very painful. But when you never saw it in the first place, it's much easier. There's a whole big psychology to saving, and there's loads of studies around like how the brain works and how essentially you can trick your brain. And one of the things is, don't see the money. If you don't see the money, out of sight, out of mind, you're less likely to think about all the wonderful things that you could buy with it. equally, like there's some other kind of psychology around, if you say round numbers, you're less likely to dip into it, because £10,000 looks like so much more than 9,999, even though it's just a pound. But that's the whole psychology of saving discussion. But yeah, that's one thing you can do to automate, have the standing order. Everybody should be doing it. If you're actively saving for something, I can't think of a reason why you would not do that. Loads of other little things that you can do. If you're saving for smaller things, you might want to consider doing this thing called like save the pennies, or some people call it roundups, where if you spend like, I don't know, £4.35, it will round it up to £5, as 5 is the nearest pound, and that 65p between the £4.35 and the £5 will automatically go into a savings account. I mean, you're not going to save your whole deposit for a house with that, but you might be able to like make a little bit of money, save a little bit of money towards a holiday or a car, or if you want an iPad or something like that. So for smaller kind of savings goals or savings targets, those can be really good. And there are loads of other things that you can do in terms of like automating the process, stuff around like savings pots. So again, on Monzo, love Monzo, you can put in savings pots and you can ring fence your money. So if you have £1,000 to spend for the month, you can split it into 4 weeks, and you can say, okay, 250 should be released to me in week 1, 250 should be released to me in week 2, 250 should be released to me in week 3, and 250 in week 4. And that way it helps you to actually manage your budget on a weekly basis rather than a monthly basis. Or you can put some money in and say, okay, release this money to me on the 16th of September, because that's when I'm going on holiday and that's when I need spending money. So all those kind of things, just take advantage of them. See what's out there in terms of like, there's loads of cool fintech things coming up now which will help you to save, help you to analyze your spending, all of those sort of things. I have used a few of the apps. Like I didn't necessarily need them as much, but I know some people who have said like certain apps have really, really, really helped them in those ways. Even just the ones that analyze your spending and send you an alert to say, hey, you're almost at your budget, or you spent this much. Are you aware that you're doing this? So automate spending is a good one. So I've spoken about the kind of infrastructure stuff, the stuff that you need to do or put in place so that you have the best opportunity or chance of reaching your goal. And for the remainder of the probably quite long video by now, I'm going to speak about smaller, kind of more practical daily things that I did to help me save money. And the first thing I'm going to speak about, I did mention earlier in the video, it's about bringing lunch to work. It's so basic, but a lot of us are spending like up to £10, £12 a day just eating food and coffee and drinking and stuff around work. So even if you're just going to get a basic meal deal, most of the time it's like £3 or £4, right, per day. If you're in the city and you're going to get a sandwich from somewhere like Pret or Eat or, you know, stuff like that, the sandwich alone is going to be like £3 or £4. If you're eating at places like Pod or Coco de Mama, you're looking at like £6, £7. Then by the time you add your morning coffee and your snack that you may have gotten, you're looking at like £10 a day. £10 a day is like £50 a week, like £200 a month. And by the time you get to the end of the year, you're looking at almost £2,500 that you could have saved just by bringing your lunch in. And of course, maybe you're not going to do it every day, but that's when it comes to like making choices and prioritizing. Maybe you say, do you know what, I'm going to bring my lunch in Monday to Thursday. On Friday, I'm gonna go and get something else because that's I enjoy doing that, and that's fine. But eating out every day, or not eating out, but going to buy your lunch from like various places, especially in London, can be so expensive. And it's like, to know that at the end of the year you could have saved £2,500 just by bringing your lunch to work and like not spending money on coffees and stuff like that is crazy. I would love to have £2,500 extra £1,000 a year. Like, that is crazy. I've actually got here something that I love, right? This is my Keep cup, and when in the winter I take it to work. This is actually a new one. I got this from my estate agent, shout out estate agent, when I completed. But it's basically, you can take, like, if you need a coffee or you need a tea in the morning, you can just make one, and this will keep it hot all the way to work. If you don't want to have it straight away, you can carry it on a train. If you want to have it when you're walking from the train station to your office, that's where you can have it. This is like it's like a £5 cup. Like, and it will save you so much money on coffees. Like, yeah, it's nice to go to Starbucks or go to Costa or wherever you're going to get your tea from or coffee, but it's so expensive versus just making it at home. And if you get like good quality coffee at home, or, you know, good tea bags. Tea is the worst thing. Like, I personally can't buy tea outside now unless I have to, because at least coffee, there's beans, there's like, you get a barista, there's more to it. But if you go to Starbucks and get a tea, you end up paying £2 so that they can put some water in a cup with a tea bag. it's very stressful. I can't do it, and I don't drink coffee. So when I'm going out, it is very much tea. Like, and I can't pay you to put water in a tea bag. It just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, that's the first thing. Remember, 2.5 grand we're looking at potentially saving there. The next thing that I have is vouchers and discounts, right? So whenever I'm going to buy anything online, or even if I'm going out to a restaurant, I will always search online to see if there's a discount code. Like, they are just floating around. Like, sometimes you can go and want to buy something from Topshop or Zara or whatever, and you can just find a 20% discount code. You type in Zara September discount code, and it will be like, oh, 20% off until, I don't know, Friday. And then you put that discount code in, and just like that, you save 20 quid on your £100 spend, or you save 10 quid on your £50 jacket or something like that. And it's just free money. It's free money. It's £10 that maybe you're not going to save it, but you could spend it on something else, you know? And it just takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes to have a quick search. And listen, I'm not above asking my friend, little sister, for their NUS discount. Like, if I'm going to save 20% an ASOS or at Topshop or something like that, I'm going to use it. Like, it's just so easy. Like, it's literally free money. Loads of stuff around, like discounts. You can use like Top Cashback if you're buying things online to get cash back on purchases. Also, loads of employers run like a discount site that is really poorly used, and I know because I work in HR. Some companies are really good at promoting it and using it, and some companies are just not. So check if your employer has one, and if they have one, check, because a lot of the stuff that you're buying, you could be saving. Like, I know where I used to work, they have like 7% off at Curry's. 7% is not a lot, but actually, like, when I moved into my flat, I had to buy a washing machine and a fridge. Like, 7% is still something. Do you know what I mean? So that's something that you could be doing. And lots of time they have stuff like, I don't know, 20% off a shirt from TM Lewin. If you have to buy a shirt for work anyway, you may as well get 20% off it. And so, yeah, look at wherever you can get discount codes and vouchers, whether it's online or at work, or like, again, sometimes with your banks or your credit card providers, they do discounts on certain things. So log in and see what discounts you have. Like, if you have any sort of insurance, sometimes you get like discounts with their partners. There's so many discounts that we are eligible for that we don't even know because we haven't done the due diligence. So see what comes with everything and max it out. Even if, like, for instance, I used to be a Fitness First, and I've found out that I could get a £6 discount every month if I told them where I worked. All I had to do, I had to bring my payslip in to the gym, and then they were like, yeah, cool. And then just like that, I saved £6. It's only £6, but again, it's £6 per month, and I'm not doing anything for it. I had to go to the gym anyway, so I may as well just print my payslip and bring it, or a letter of employment or whatever they asked you to bring. And just like that, I saved £6. Sometimes it feels like a lot of work for a relatively small amount of money, but it's not. Most of these things, they don't cost us anything. Like, we can spend 5 minutes looking for a discount code online, or we can ask our friends or sister for their NUS discount card, or we can, I don't know, get £6 off our gym or whatever it is. So discounts are really key. Like, you could end up saving so much money with them. Travel, right? So thinking about how you travel, I just bought an under 30 rail card. So they introduced the under 30 rail card, beginning of this year, and it saves you a third off national rail travel. So, like, for instance, even at work, I'm travelling a lot. It's expensive, but still can save the company money. I go up to Manchester, Birmingham, Bristol, and I'm saving a third on that. So sometimes I'm saving like £60 on a return to Manchester. That's for work, but again, if you are travelling between cities anyway, you can do that. And also, probably the more important thing that it gives you a third off off-peak travel in London. So if you're using your Oyster, you can attach it to your Oyster card, and if you're travelling after 7 or on the weekend, you get a third of all your journeys, which is really great, especially if you're not buying a travel card. And I don't buy a travel card because where my travel is kind of infrequent, and I don't know if I'm going to use my Oyster or my bank card outside of traveling to work. Sometimes it doesn't end up as well. It doesn't end up as good for you, and it does, like, TfL does fare capping now. So again, that's another thing, thinking about, okay, do you need to actually buy a travel card, or are you better off just touching in and out and saving yourself 5 quid every week? The easier thing is just to get a travel card so you don't have to think about it. But if you thought about it, maybe you would end up in a better position. So again, very small practical tip. Another one I did was I got a bike. I got a bike because I wanted to improve my fitness and my health and all of that other kind of stuff, but also because it was a cheaper way of traveling to work. So in London, I was living in Zone 3 at the time, still live in Zone 3, but somewhere else. And I think at the time, for a month, it was like £140 for a travel card to get to work and back. I got my bike under the Cycle to Work scheme. And most companies have Cycle to Work schemes now, to be fair. And what it does, it gives you like some tax benefits from getting a bike via work. And the bike is specifically supposed to be for you to travel to and from work, but you can also use it outside of that purpose. And so I spent £700 on my bike and accessories, and I was able to save 42% on that. So really and truly, I was probably spending more like £400, and that £400 came out over the course of a year from my pay. So they were doing, I don't know, 30-something pound deductions every month. But £400, and I'm cycling with that to and from work every day or most days, that is what, 2 and a bit months worth of travel. And that's just from cycling. And that's if you feel comfortable to do so, and if you're interested in cycling. I know if you're going to get a bike anyway, maybe it's a no-brainer. But for me, I thought, look, I can cycle to work. It's a relatively easy cycle. It is. People are like, why would you cycle in London? Do you want to lose your life? But I like cycling, so it's not a problem. And the cycle route I took was quite easy. Like, it was mainly on like closed off cycle lanes, and that was saving me well over £1,000 per year. Like, that's a no-brainer on a bike. Like, there will be loads of others, and I think the rule should be, okay, think about what you're spending, and if there is a way to save some money on it, and then do that. I think that's about it. Like, the key things are the things that I said at the beginning of the video. So coming up with a target and knowing why you're saving, understanding your spending, setting a budget, not buying things that you don't need, automating the process, and then doing some of those day-to-day things to help you be more successful at this saving thing. The next video I do is probably going to be on shared ownership, which is probably going to be very controversial because there are a load of views on it, and I have my own from the research that I've done and my own personal circumstances. So definitely come back for that one. I hope you found this video helpful. The context and the backdrop to the whole video, which I probably didn't mention, is obviously the more money you earn, the better position you are in to save, and there are some things that you can do to put yourself in a better earning position at work and blah 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 blah. And maybe that's a video for another time, but that's something that should also be considered here. But yeah, tell me what you think about the video. Tell me if it's like really basic and you knew it all already, or if you've tried some of these things, or if you have additional tips that I haven't spoken about that other people could benefit from. Please put them in the comment section. I'm going to be responding to them and hopefully learning from you guys as well. So thank you very much for watching. Please do like, subscribe, comment, share, all that wonderful stuff that you did on the last video. I really do appreciate it, and I love you all very much. Thank you.